Hello everyone! So my name is Leilani. This is officially my first video and I want to start off this channel talking about things that I learned in college. So right now I am 23 years old. I graduated 2 years ago. So I think there are definitely a lot of things that I learned that I wish someone would have taken the time to teach me, especially coming from a minority background. So I'm Latina. So I think these are the 5 main things that you should know in college, especially as a minority. Okay, or as a first-gen college student, which I wish I knew before. So these are in no particular order. The first one would be to find a community. I cannot stress the importance of this. I went to college thinking that if I just went out of my comfort zone and I started hanging out with new people of different backgrounds, I would learn a lot, first of all, and I would meet a lot of people. And yes, that was true, but it was super duper important. And I stress this so much. Just having a community that has your same values, super duper important. So as a Latina, I needed to find my community. So a community is super important, not just because it's going to usually be your same background, same culture. So in my case, just Latinos and Latinas, but it also makes you feel like you belong, especially in a big place like a university or college. So definitely find a community that you feel accepted, that you belong, and that you find some comfort in. The second one would be balance. Super important too, just because I learned the hard way my first few years at college that if you are not balanced in school activities, social life, community-wise, you will burn out very quick. I'm telling you this right now. I burned out a lot. Learn from my mistakes and just don't do that. So what do I really mean by being balanced out? I mean, sure, study hard. I mean, that's the whole reason why you're in college, right? Like, you want to get that piece of paper that tells you your worth, or so they say. But I mean, that's another topic for another time, because don't tie your worth to a paper. Don't even tie your worth to achievements or failures. You are not what you do. I need to stress that because that's something else that I wish someone would have told me. But I guess going back to my original statement of balance, for a balanced student life, make sure you have time to study, which is the main goal of why you really are there, right? But also make time to find your community, like I just said before. Make sure that you find a way that you feel like you belong, because the imposter syndrome is a real thing, let me tell you that. And if you feel like you don't belong, you'll be like, hey, why should I even try as hard if I know that everyone can see through me? So don't do that to yourself. Just don't. Okay, so once you're balanced academically, social life, I'll move on to self-care. And I'm not talking about like, oh yeah, like let's get an ice cream, or let's go to a party and take care of ourselves. Like, no. I mean actual implemented self-care practices every single day. And I'm not talking about like 3 hours worth or something like that. It can be as small as 10 minutes, but the way that you start your day is going to be super important. Not just because it dictates the way that your day will run, it lowers your threshold for stress, and if it's a little bit lowered, hey, that's so much better. Why, you might be asking? Because you're less likely to reach the point or breaking point of, therefore, make sure that you do at least something in the morning. So for example, something that helped me a lot was either meditating. It doesn't have to be that much, trust me. You'll see the positive impacts in just like 5 or 10 minutes But if you do it consistently every single day, especially in the mornings to start off your day, chef's kiss. So, okay, you can either do that or read some self-help book. I think that is usually really nice. Or if you don't feel like doing any of that, honestly, just do something that makes you happy, that makes you look forward to waking up. Because if you don't do this, you will most likely fall into this mistake of prioritizing your tests and exams, and there goes your self-care. Like, who cares if I eat? And that's not healthy in the long run, because the way that you treat yourself, you are your vehicle to getting you from point A to point B. So if you're not taking care of your vehicle and prioritizing work, school, anything else, you will break down, and they won't really care. They'll be like, oh,
well, you are not doing good in your classes, you're not doing good in this exam.
Like, what's wrong? But they won't know how much sacrifice you actually put into that. And it's not worth it. It really isn't. Moving on to number 4, I think it's super important, especially as minorities in a primarily white-dominated university or college, is the importance of speaking up. I cannot stress the importance of this. Not just because it's something that I've dealt with the consequences many times, but it's something that I keep seeing in minorities, and it really needs to stop. So we tend to just smother our own voices. We tend to not ask questions. We tend to not ask for help. We tend not to clarify, or hell, even go against authority. Why? Our whole lives are being taught to just look down, nod. Is that not true? Is that not true? And especially when you're moving towards higher education, if you're not able to speak up, ask for help, ask for clarification, or in general, just question authority. It doesn't have to be rude. I swear it doesn't have to be rude. It's just gonna be clarifying anything. But if you're too scared to even engage in content, that's when things start going downhill. So, I guess my whole tangent. Make sure that you participate. I know, easier said than done. Trust me, I know. But try to do at least one thing that challenges you and makes you speak up and own your voice. And the last, but I think could be one of the most important from this entire list, is know how to study effectively. You have probably seen all these videos, or really any of these videos on studying, and you probably know, hey, I should be using active techniques or active studying and not passive studying. You need to have a strong grasp of the foundations of studying, and in order to do that, you need to understand how we forget things, or why we forget things. You probably have heard this idea that our brains are like supercomputers, which they kind of are, but we also tend to forget things. So I'm pretty sure you know about the forgetting curve. And I will definitely make a whole other video, probably a whole series, just summing up everything there is on the internet on how to actually study, and especially the science behind that. I'm a true believer of science-based, evidence-based techniques, because I mean, like, if you're just following someone else's opinions, how do you expect to get results? So for the foundations of studying, I want to stress the importance of essentially having a schedule, a way that you're able to look at topics that will be covered before you arrive at the lecture. Super critical. I got lazy. I did not know how to do this. So my first time engaging with content was during lecture, and that should not be the first time you look at the content. So first time you look at content should be before class. You prime yourself, you try to find a way that you're going to fit all of this new knowledge into your brain, a way to encode it horizontally. I'll talk about that in a future video. But once you have an example of why it's relevant, why it even matters to you, honestly, that's a very good question that you should be thinking about in the priming phase. So once you think about like, why is this important, why you should use it, then you'll have it in lecture, or you go over that. And like if you went above and beyond, you probably have some questions written down in the margins of your notes about things that are confusing, interesting, anything, and try to keep up with the professor, because I know it's oh so easy to just tune out. But something that I've done is try to complete a professor's train of thought in your head, okay? Don't interrupt them. That's something else I also learned from other YouTubers. But take some time to do that. Just a way you're engaged. Think of questions in your head while you are being taught something in a lecture. So that's step 2. Then make sure that you condense your notes, or you should probably already have your notes condensed from the lecture. So once your notes are condensed, then I want you to sit down, take some time after class, right? So do whatever you need to, but most likely like before you go to sleep that night, I need you to sit down with your notes and try to decode your notes through a different sensory input. So by this I mean try to recreate your notes, but only using pictures. Why, you may ask? Like, we're not in kindergarten anymore. But did you know that most of the brain uses visual input? So vision is super important for our brains to process things, because we have so many different locations in our brain designed to process visual information. Therefore, another way to make things stick is not only looking at things in lecture, hearing them, writing it down, and like in your own words processing it, but also recreating that condensed version into just pictures. So for that, I recommend a concept map or something that just has visual. The least amount of words that you can do, the better, honestly. Yeah. Hopefully they help you or remind you of certain things while the new academic year is coming around. So yeah, thank you for taking the time to watch this. Stay safe and stay happy.